Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Kind of running a little bit of a sore throat, so if I sound kind of weird, sorry about that. But I'm trying to get these videos done and out. So today we'll be talking about TVZ cheeses. This is a follow-up to that last video I posted about TVP cheeses. TVZ cheeses are a little different. Obviously they're different, but I think that there's a lot of ways in which they can fake it out with a third base, or even show you one thing but it's actually another thing, like text switching a lot and stuff like that. For example, roaches into mutas, or you think it's 2-base muta but it's actually 2-base hydra, crazy stuff like that I've encountered in GM. But to start off, I guess this video we're going to be doing Ling run bys, so Ling Bane run by. So whatever we're going to talk about today is going to be related to that. Roach stuff I'll have to cover in a different video because A, I couldn't find a game where I dealt with a crazy roach trolling recently, and B, the way you approach these two scenarios are different. But at least in this video I can talk about how I scout and then how I react to the Ling Bane stuff. So, which I feel like Ling Bane Olins are actually still pretty common, I think, especially at lower levels. So this week I think I got Ling Bane Olin 3 or 4 times, surprisingly actually. So I guess it does still happen. So the game, or the build that I choose to go for in this game is going to be 3 CC Banshee. Very standard opener, right? Very safe. A bit difficult to execute depending on your MMR. But I think it's one of the best builds you can play. Best standard builds that you can play. And so when I scout this game, it looks like he's taking a third base. He does take a third base. So I come in and I'm going to go ahead and start poking, okay, normal hatch timing. There's 4 lings. There's a queen being built. That's all stuff that's normal, okay? Even 6 lings is also pretty normal. That used to be the standard before, but now it's 4 lings. Excuse me. And, anything more than that, 8, 10 lings, that's a little bit okay, I don't know about that. All right. So, or if a queen's not building, that's also pretty unusual. So at least what we're seeing right now, everything's okay. And so what that tells you is just because everything's okay now doesn't mean they can't just suddenly stop droning, throw down a Baneling nest, and all in you, right? It's a little more, like I was mentioning earlier, it's a little bit easy to fake, I think, or fake out. So what you want to do is you want to really keep a close eye on the amount of queens being built, the third base timing, and then try to see are there drones coming out? Is there larva that's being held on to that they're not using? Are they still mining gas? For example, here I haven't gone into the main yet, but if I would go into the main right now, I would see Ling speed is being researched and they're still mining gas. So usually they'll pull off gas after they get enough for Ling speed. I'm sure most people know that already. And then they'll take a third, right? But if they're going to do something a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more gas expensive, then they're going to go ahead and continue to mine gas. So if I, poke here a little bit, go into the main scout, I might see that gas. Now, a way you could do this is if you go ahead and scout the natural first and you see if there's 4 lings here, you could quickly rotate to the main and then go up here. And then you wouldn't have to worry about lings being on the cliff here because you've already seen the lings down here. So that's a safe way to kind of just decide to go into the main and scout without risking losing your Reaper to lings unless they've built additional lings. Which at that point, scouting extra lings will already give you more information, right? So it kind of works out. But I would have seen that they're mining gas still and building ling speed, and so then I would have been okay, this could be banelings, could be something else, right? Maybe roaches, but they're getting ling speed, so probably unlikely. Maybe a ravagerling thing. There it looks like he's taking a third, and then in fact he does take a third. So it looks normal to me, right? But as we can see, all these lings are being built, and if, for whatever reason, my Reaper is able to get into his natural, I would see there's no queen being built, right? This hatchery isn't moving around. And there's still some larvae not being spent. And I think that we've all played enough Starcraft to kind of be able to tell, all right, that looks like a pretty low drone count. What's going on? All right. Now, link speed usually finishes about 320, 325. Okay, so you want to be keeping an eye out for that timer. I'm going to go ahead and just confirm that there is a third. Or I'm assuming there is a third, which is bad to assume. And then I decide I'm going to sack my Reaper. Maybe not. turn around. I'm autoing a freaking hatchery because I don't have a brain. And then I'm sending my Hellions across the map. So at this point, I have no idea. Okay. And obviously, there's clues that I could have picked up on if I would have utilized my Reaper in a better way. But that's not really what happened here. I'm rallying my first 2 Hellions directly across the map. This is like worst case scenario. Okay. So he starts morphing in Banelings. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with this. I should be either going back home or scouting some more. I start add-on swapping, and then boom, I see these Zerglings. Okay. This is a disaster, right? Because I'm not even looking at my Hellions, right? So here, I hear the sound. Apparently, I raise my depots. I build a Banshee. What do I do from here? The easiest way I have found to hold Ling Bane cheeses is to basically just build stuff around your depots or lift the buildings that you have and put them around the depots. And the reason why is because most of the time people build just enough Banelings to break the wall and then flood you with the Lings, right? So immediately here, these are like pretty much goners, right? Like I can't save these, so it's better if I just focus on getting this up, right? I'm not building any more SCVs. I'm not making this an orbital. I do have extra Hellions queued up, but maybe I could spend that money on like improving this wall up here. But I added engineering bay, and you can see just enough Banelings to kill the supply depot, but only 2 Banelings left to actually do anything else, right? So these come in, they get blown up. These are all still like low, right? But the point is that he can't get in my main. And this is all fine because at the end of the day, I'm playing, I hate to say it, the 3cc Copium, the 3cc Command Center, right? We still have a similar worker count despite losing 10 workers in my natural. And obviously I'm going to have mules. So long as I don't take any additional damage from this point onwards, I'm pretty much okay. And now here you just have to judge like how far, or if they're continuing to build Lings, if they're trying to transition. You know, like here I saw additional Lings coming in, so I know, okay, they haven't been droning yet. So they're still trying to flood, right? They're still trying to all-in me. I hear more Banelings morphing. Okay, they're clearly still trying to all-in me. So I'm not going to let go of the defense. I'm going to keep trying to build units. I'm going to keep trying to maybe improve the wall a little bit, repair my buildings. But as long as I have an indication that they're continuing to build units, I don't want to underestimate the push. Okay. At this point, though, like if I want to resume worker production, I think that's fine. I think that's great. A lot of people don't know like when they can do that. And I'm a big, like, in my coaching, I'm a big proponent of like, when there's aggression happening, you don't want to stop building SCVs, because as you use and lose SCVs to defend things, you want to be able to replenish them sooner. And that's a really big like difference between like a lower level player and a higher level player when it comes to holding cheeses, is that the higher level player can bounce back a little bit sooner, economically speaking, because they've been producing workers as they're being cheesed, right? Obviously, if they can, they will. If they can't, they won't. But being able to bounce back sooner because you're producing workers at the same time is great. And you know, if you have 3 command centers, you should definitely be in the lead now. So at this point, I don't see anything else. So I'm like, okay, he's probably trying to transition. But like I said earlier, I'm in a pretty good spot. Like I can transition into bio. I have 3 mules. Like it's going to be fine. And then they decide to tap out. So, and I don't know what the screen's doing over there. So yeah, so this became more of like maybe like a Ling Bane kind of thing. But like I said, that's kind of like how I approach scouting. That's how I approach defending this. Again, it's just very different than like against Protoss, because maybe like the way I would scout Star Proxy, Stargate, Proxy Robo, and kind of like pick up on what kind of cheese it is a little bit similar. More similar than this, but with Zerg, it's a little bit easier to fake things out, I feel like. So yeah, so keep an eye on drone count. You know, keep an eye on queens. Like if they're not building any more queens, if they're not trying to get that 9 count on the queens, it's a little bit suspect. I was gonna say sus, but I don't say suspect. A little bit suspect. Gas, if they're still mining gas after they mined 100 gas, I think most people know that one. That could be something tricky. And then pretty much after that, that's really it. You know, obviously if they've been on 2 bases for longer than 3 minutes, that's obviously suspect. You want to scout for that. The amount of gases, like 4 gases on 2 bases is usually mutas, but maybe it could be like Hydra thing, for example, like I mentioned earlier, which unfortunately does happen. Or like 2 bases, but only 2 gases. That could be like a Nidus worm, you know, because they don't need that much gas. So But similar with TVP, it's just like something you continue to practice, and as you do a better job of scouting, you'll start learning and recognizing the patterns, and so then you'll have to spend less time thinking about what's actually happening, and more so like, okay, I see these three things to check off my list. Okay, it's probably ABC option. How can I best defend either three of those options? And most of the time, it's just like, going Hellion Banshee, and it's like Marine Tank, or if it is Ravager, and then maybe you build some bunkers, and if it's Mutas, then you maybe only build one Banshee, and then you kind of like will have your responses set up. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, a bit of a shorter one than the previous TVP video. But like I said, I'll make another one addressing Roach builds. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys later.